Aligning audio and video, getting started in 3, 2, 1. This is the American Red Cross Virtual Call Center Call Agent Training. Welcome to the Virtual Call Center. We are thrilled to have you on the team. This video is designed to provide you with a high-level overview of the Virtual Call Center. It's designed to provide you with training on your roles and responsibilities, provide you with logistics of your assignment, and detail the steps getting you ready to take calls. What is the Virtual Call Center? First thing is, it's virtual. This is not a physical deployment to the operation. This is you working from your home, your office, or even the local Red Cross chapter building. This is a call center. There are calls coming in, and our job is to handle those calls. It's a committed team of volunteers all over the country using a handful of technologies and web pages that will provide our clients with the right information at the right time, enabling them to make the best decisions possible. In the past, our call centers have been physical, where you've gone to the operation. This has been an extremely costly piece to our operations. By going virtual, what this is doing is saving the operation money, allowing us to get more client-facing dollars out into the communities. It also enables us to leverage and use a whole new set and larger set of volunteers because you can be virtual. Over a 2-week call center activation, there's a very good chance that we will have anywhere from 50 to 100 volunteers engaged with the call center all over the United States. How do I know if I'm a good fit for the call center? Well, first of all, you want to help people affected by disasters. You like talking to people over the phone. You're decent with computers. You know how to navigate around a keyboard and different web pages and how to do Google searches. You also can commit to a minimum of 3 4-hour shifts per week over a 2-week period. More time is allowed and encouraged, but that is our baseline minimum. And for the call center, you don't need any prior Red Cross experience or even casework or even call center experience. You can start from scratch. What tools are you going to be using? Well, first you're going to need a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. You'll need a phone, and that's a cell phone, a landline, or a desk phone. You're going to need a computer with power. You're going to need internet. Those are the core things that you're going to have at your fingertips. From there, let's look at some of the other things. We have Transera, which is the phone system that passes the call center calls to your phone. We also have a call log, which is where you're going to capture all of the calls that come in, capture client information. We also have a shelter map. We have a wiki. We have a casework appointment tool. And last but not least, your brain. Here's a call flow map for the call center. On the left-hand side, we see that we have a call center number. We have chapter phone numbers in the area, and all those numbers get pointed to Transera. Transera then punches the call to you and our team of agents. Our agents then will use both an appointment scheduling tool as well as the SharePoint site to capture calls. Now, how do you know who your chain of command is? Well, you're going to be reporting to a supervisor, who then reports to a manager, who then reports to the AD, Assistant Director of Recovery. But also here is our friend, the call center liaison, who is someone who is physically deployed to the operation, and their job is to make sure that you have the most accurate and up-to-date information at your fingertips. They will be populating the resource wiki, which you will use to find real-time, up-to-date intel from the operation. The appointment scheduling tool will be used by caseworkers in recovery centers in order to serve our clients. The DRO SharePoint site will be used by health and mental health, feeding, bulk distribution, sheltering, fundraising, in-kind, government liaisons. This really is focused on follow-up and action. There will be volunteers on the operation who will be following up with urgent and critical cases that we create. I should say records. This is not CAS. This is not the client assistance system. It's a little bit different. It will incorporate and connect to CAS, but this is really our way of capturing those calls and then figuring out which things, which calls, which clients will require a case being opened. We also have a virtual social media team that will be entering entries into the SharePoint site in case they come across something on Facebook, Twitter, one of our Red Cross web pages, anything like that. What kinds of calls are going to come in? Well, types of calls change throughout the course of the disaster. We often start with response calls and then transition to recovery calls after about 4 or 5 days, depending on the type of disaster. People who call in will need immediate assistance, shelter, food, clothing, relief for cleanup supplies. They're going to need medium and long-term assistance, casework. People are going to want to donate supplies. They're going to want to volunteer. They want to donate money. You may have partner agencies, governments, or even media calling in and requesting information or trying to connect with someone on the operation. You're going to have people who are looking for friends, family, or loved ones. There are people who are looking for other resources that the Red Cross does not provide. They may say, I need help getting to my job. That's a very common call that comes in. So that's transportation. We don't provide assistance with that. However, we can connect them through the wiki and our resource guide. We can connect them to organizations that do help with that. Some of these people may not speak English. Logistics and expectations. So we talked about how you can be a call agent from anywhere. We ask for a minimum of a 4-hour shift, 3 days per week, for 2 weeks. If you can't do that, then maybe this isn't the right virtual deployment for you, but we may be able to work with you. We operate 7 days a week from 8 a.m. local time to 10 p.m. local time. If you commit to a shift, we expect you to work that shift, and it is always okay to work more than your scheduled shift. Here's some smart tips that we've developed over time. Make sure you have some water close by. Your mouth will get dry, you're talking and talking and talking. Always good to have water. Keep pen and paper next to you. Wear comfortable clothing. Take deep breaths. Take breaks. Wear a headset even, so both of your hands can be free to type or write. Pick a quiet place to work. Be aware of doorbells, dogs barking, sirens, etc. Talk to your supervisors. They are there to help you think through problems, discuss ways to improve your performance. You can give them feedback. They are your lifeline and your best friends on this operation. If you hear about Red Cross issues from clients, the Red Cross isn't serving people, we're not doing something well, there's an issue in a community, pass these to your supervisor right away, because we want to run these down, ground it, and then see if it's true, and if it is true, how we can fix it. If it's not true, we may want to do some proactive messaging out into the community. We also want to capture feedback and ways we can improve the call center. Let's talk about Transera, the phone system. I talked and said that Transera routes call center calls to your phone. You're going to go to that link, https://agent.transerainc.net. You'll log on. It's almost always your first name dot last name, all lowercase. Your password will likely be welcome1, lowercase w. Enterprise is ARCRCE, all caps. Then you'll click next, and then it'll ask for a DN. That's your phone number. So it's in your area code first. You also want to put a 1 in front of it. So 1-202-303-7579. Then you click go. From there, you need to go available. Why do you do that? Transera doesn't just send a call to your phone. It has to know, hey, I'm sitting here, I'm ready, I'm at the phone, ready to rock and roll. When you click available, the next call that comes in to the call center, it's going to look for the agent that's been sitting available the longest period of time, and if that's you, call goes right to you. The way you answer the phone is the way that you normally answer your telephone. If you've got an iPhone, you slide the bar to the right. If you have a flip phone, you may press the green button. If you have a house phone, you just pick it up. That's all you do. When you hang up, you're going to go into a wrap-up state where you tell Transera, what kind of call was that? That also is a way for you to reset and say, am I ready to go again? Remember, you can only get a call if you're available. The statuses are idle, available, reserved, connected, and wrap-up. Let's show you Transera real quick. So I'm going to go to https://agent.transerainc.net. Hit enter. You'll click launch and put in your username. Put in your password and then your enterprise, ARCRCE. Then you click next. Then It's going to ask for your DN. Remember, I do 1 in front of the number, and then I put in the number. Your team will be whatever team you have here. We have different teams, so you don't need to worry about that. Then you click Go. Now, let's see what I've got here. Let me expand this a little bit. This is where we log out. I'll do that at the end of my shift. In order to log out, I have to be idle. This is my name. This is my phone number. It tells me how long I've been in a state. So I've been logged on for 17 seconds. I've also been idle for that amount of time. I can also say why I'm idle. I normally just kind of leave it as break. But then when I'm ready, I go available. So what I'm going to do is, because I am in I'll show you how to log out. So I'm going to go to idle. I have multiple teams here because of what I have to do. I'm going to come back in, show you how easy that is. I'm going to change my team to a training environment just so that I don't get any live calls here. There we go. I'm going to go available. So let me call our test number real quick. And what I'm going to do, I need to pull up a couple different things here. Multitask for a second. I'm going to put in, go into Skype so I can place this call. I'm going to put in a test call, and let's watch what Transcera does. Take a look. If I'm available, when the call comes through, it will then say connected. Connected means you're talking to a person on the other end of the phone. You can transfer a call, or even consult or conference someone. That's where you have to put in a new DN number. So you see there where it says DN, I can click, and I have to put in a 1 in front of the number, but you have to also put in the 10-digit number. So here I'll put in 1, the area code, and then the number. I can click on consult, meaning maybe I need to consult with an expert, check in with my supervisor. I can transfer to a target. I can even put the call on hold. The other button I can click is end. I can just end the call. You can also click on queue, which is right above that, if you needed to transfer it to another team. But here I've clicked on consult. So I'm consulting. It tells me how long I'm consulting. I could even conference. That's where I would bring in the consultee and the consulter. So I basically have 3 people together on a conference. I can go back to just my original call. Here I put it on hold. And then I can resume the call. And to end, I just click the red line through the phone. It then moves me automatically into wrap-up. I can pick a wrap-up code. If I want to take another call, I have to select a wrap-up code. And then I immediately go back to available. Because we get so many calls, I've got to be ready to go. If I'm not ready, I could click on my idle state and say, I need to do something. Maybe I'm calling someone back. If I need to place an outbound call, which is important because it masks my phone number, then I put in the 1, the area code, the number, then I click. It's out dial reserving. So it will call my phone. I will answer my phone. My phone will ring. Once I answer my phone, it will connect. I'll keep hearing my phone ring because now it's finding the person I called. I can end it. I'm in wrap-up. I'll pick another wrap-up code. I'm available. When I'm available, I can't log out because a call could be coming to me. You see there I clicked on the graph. These are statistics. It shows me what I'm doing and how I'm doing. Really cool feature of idle, available, reserve, talk, hold, wrap-up, and not responding. It tells me how many calls I've handled, how long I'm doing in each state, how long each call is taking, how many consults I've had, really detailed statistics. I can also see my team statistics up here. That shows me how many different people on my team have been doing different things, and I can also see the queue. The queue is our DRO queue. That's our Disaster Relief Operation Call Center queue. So really detailed stuff there. I can even look at a help file or change my password. But in this case, I'm going to go back to idle. End of shift. I'm ready to be done for the day, and I'm going to click log out. Now we are preparing, setting up the system. I'm doing my thing. Bump, 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 bump. Recording. Starting in 3, 2, 1, now. Our next tool is SharePoint. SharePoint is what we use as our call log as well as our resource wiki. In order to get into SharePoint, you have to have a redcross.org email to log in. If you don't have one, we will provide you with one. You need to go to https://sp.redcross.org/sites/hs/call center. Here you will see your call log and your resource wiki. Let's take a look. Here I am. I'll hit enter. It'll prompt me for my login. This is my Red Cross email and password. And here I am. So the first thing I want is the call log. When you want to open up multiple tabs on your computer, if you have a PC, you can click Control, and it'll open up the call log here. I also need to open up my wiki. So Control, click. Let's look at the call log. The call log here takes me to all items. You will see every call that we've taken. So far in our log we have over 6,000 calls, and you have a view here where you can see client name, the number, county priority narrative, follow-up, all of these different things. But what you really care about is items. We may need to create a new item. You do this for every call that comes in. If the client speaks a different language than English, you can indicate that here. You can also capture the client's first name and last name. You must require the last name. Where you see a red asterisk, that is a required field. Client mobile phone number, required. If they don't have a mobile phone number, put in the number they do have, but we really want mobile in here as much as possible. You'll find that about 95% of clients will be calling you from a mobile phone. Street address. We want the address, the city, the state. In this case, our most recent relief operations have been in South Carolina, California, and Texas. We will manage this so that you see just a couple states here to choose from to keep your life really easy. Then you see zip code. Put in the zip code, county. In this case, the call log, the only active relief operation we have is Texas, in the Houston area for floods. And this is where you can click one of the counties impacted. We will manage this list as well. If you get a call from outside, then you keep this blank, and you could put in a different county, the Arlington County. The district, also very important to ensure that this call gets to the correct operators on the ground, whether in this case you would be Houston, North Texas, or C-Star. These districts are indicated here in the description section. The narrative is really important. You'll find that narratives usually range 3 to 4 sentences, a paragraph really. But this is something that we're going to look at to really understand what's going on with the client and what that client's needs may be. We also have some really solid yes-no questions that will help us quickly triage, tag, and target the call to the right place. Does this call need follow-up? If somebody from the Red Cross needs to work with this client beyond just you speaking with them on the phone, click yes. This means that that client will receive a callback, they will receive follow-up, they may not have a case opened in CAS. However, they will be followed up with, and that could even be by someone in the operations group to ensure that there's a shelter, there's food, there's relief supplies, whatever it might be. For the priority, critical, high, low, this is also a really important field and drop-down to follow. Low. Caller has housing needs, none, or no housing needs, temporary, maybe they're staying with family or friends. This is something where it requires follow-up more than 12 hours out, or maybe no follow-up at all. If the priority is high, the caller may have health or mental health needs. It's probably not an urgent call, urgent in terms of the health or mental health needs, and they may be a vulnerable client, and they may have permanent housing needs. So this is something where you really have follow-up in 12 to 24 hours. Critical is urgent. Urgent health or mental health need, multiple vulnerabilities, requires follow-up within 2 hours. We have people who receive automatic alerts on each operation who will take the critical calls and move on them immediately. So be very careful about when you mark critical, but know that if you've marked something as critical, somebody will be putting eyes on it right away. Your name, please. First and last name, so we know who's captured the call. Functional access need, yes or no. That, does the person have some kind of a disability? That might be one way you could interpret this question. Are they in a wheelchair? Yes or no. Health services, yes or no. You can ask someone if they have any health needs. You can ask them if they have any functional or access needs. We don't ask if someone has any mental health needs. If a caller is very stressed, if they sound distraught, if they sound like they could be in a place where they might do harm to themselves or others, that is a mental health yes. Some people may actually say, I'd like to speak with someone, I'm really upset. If someone has lost a loved one, lost a pet, they will very likely need mental health support. Casework and recovery planning. Does the person need help out into the future? Are they going to need to speak with a caseworker, build a recovery plan? If so, mark yes. Donation, media, or government outreach, this one's pretty simple. If someone is trying to donate supplies, things, money, if someone is calling from the media, or if someone from a government or partner agency is asking us about something, we mark yes. We then can ask the client. These can be filled out in a 10-second period of time. Then we can ask the client, is your home livable? Yes, no, they're unsure, or not applicable. Maybe not applicable would be somebody who is media or government outreach. This is going to help us with our damage assessment. And then DRO, in this case, the only DRO we have is in Texas. There could be 2, 3, 4, 5 DRs listed here, but this way we can help understand which operation this needs to go to. When you're done, you click Save, and your call will be populated in this log. Let's take a look at the wiki. So some active operations we've had. Let's go to the Texas floods. So you will see here important information ready at your fingertips. Phone numbers, contact information, web pages, whatever it is, it will be on this wiki, and this really is your handbook, this is your Bible for moving forward and helping support our clients. So we have a resource guide. In this case, we have shelter updates. Our default shelter go-to is going to be somewhere here. Google Crisis Map, we call it. I've clicked on it. I didn't hit Control, so I'm not going to get a new pop-up, but I'll hit the back arrow in a second. The Google Crisis Map pulls up all active Red Cross shelters from our national shelter system. You can zoom in, which is really cool. You can see weather patterns and what's coming, and a client may give you an address. You could punch in an address. Let me just do the client. We got their address, and they live in Conroe, Texas. And here we go. The map will zoom in here, and anytime you see a dot, that's a shelter. We don't have shelter phone numbers, so clients can't contact shelters, but when you click on it, you'll see a circle. It'll tell you the address, and you also have capacity and current residents. This is generally not the most accurate number in the world. If we see a shelter on this map, it is a 99% safe assumption to send a client to that shelter. When the shelter closes or is no longer open for business, this shelter will disappear from this map. So that's our Google Crisis Map. If you have a wheel on a mouse on your computer, you can scroll and zoom in and out. As we see here, a lot more weather coming to Houston. Let me go back to my wiki. So I click the back arrow. I've got a whole bunch of maps, and this wiki will change every time you look at it. What we encourage you to do is each time you're done with a call, I always refresh the wiki because there could be new information. It's really easy to do. Just get in the habit of it. New call comes in, refresh the wiki. And part of the reason why we ask for at least a 4-hour shift is over a course of 4 hours, you get really used to this information. If you were just working 10 or 15 minutes, this is a lot of information to look at. But when you've looked at this for 1 or 2 shifts, you get pretty good at knowing exactly what's where. And information doesn't change 20 times a day. It may only change once or twice a day, but still good to refresh after every call. So that's our SharePoint site. Pretty easy, pretty simple, but again, you have to have a Red Cross login, and if you don't have one, we will provide you with one. So let's go back to our presentation here. A script. Oh, this is a good one. Script may change from operation to operation, so always check with your supervisors and check on the wiki for any changes to the script, but here's our standard one. You're going to need to capture the name, the number, and the address on a piece of paper. In case something happens with your computer, you can always get back to the client, and those can be a lot of things to remember. So that's why I always have paper and pen right next to me. So call comes in, I say, American Red Cross, my name is Luke. Can I please have your first and last name? Client responds, thank you. Can I please have your 10-digit phone number in case we get disconnected? This way you get the client's area code and you do get their number in case you're disconnected. Thank you. Have you been impacted by the floods, impacted by the tornado, impacted by the earthquake, impacted by the fire? So you can insert anything here. This current script that we're using says floods. If no, how can I help you? The client will respond. We're only capturing, in this case, if they haven't been impacted, we would only capture in the SharePoint log if the caller was from a government agency, partner agency, donor, interested volunteer. If a client just said, oh, I'm just looking for a shelter and, driving down the road, may need to stay for the night, then in that case, you'll provide them with the shelter information. No need to capture into the wiki. If yes, can I please have your address, including county? Client will respond and you say thank you. So this way, in the first 30, 45 seconds, minute, you have their name, their number, and their address, and you know if they've been impacted by the floods, really just by asking yes/no questions. Then we say, can you please describe your immediate disaster-caused needs? Client can respond in one of many different ways. So here's a couple examples with our flood script. Someone say, I'm looking for assistance since my house was flooded. Your response, I'm very sorry to hear that. Would you like to set up an appointment to meet with a caseworker? If yes, we'll skip to the appointment steps. If no, is there anything specific I can help you with over the phone? Both yes and no. Do you have any immediate needs that I can help you with over the phone? If the client describes any, you would begin completing a SharePoint record. The reason we're going with appointment steps, if someone has made an appointment, we will not need to capture it into our SharePoint site because they're going to go speak with a caseworker. We don't want that client to tell us things over and over and over again. It gets tiring. Some client may say, I heard you're all giving out money. Here's a good standard response. The American Red Cross is working with impacted city, county, and other community organizations to support individuals and families affected by the disaster. You could insert fire, flood, tornado, whatever it is. I cannot provide you with any financial assistance over the phone. Would you like to set up an appointment to meet with a caseworker? This way you are redirecting the client. If the client says yes, you could skip to appointment steps. If no, is there anything specific I can help you with over the phone? Client may say, I have a health, medical, emotional, functional, or access need issue. They may say, I have a disability. I'm in a wheelchair. Anything like that. Can I ask you a few more questions so that I can get your information to the best person on the ground? If yes, can you describe your needs? At this point, we're completing a thorough SharePoint record. If no, I will not be able to pass your information on since I cannot complete my set of questions. Is there any information I could help provide you over the phone? If someone doesn't want to provide us information, that's okay. But we need to make it clear that we won't be able to give them detailed or thorough help. Always refer to the wiki for every caller. That's where you've got your up-to-date real-time information from the operation. Make sure you hit that refresh page. For clients who want casework appointments, always remind them that they need photo ID and proof of residence. If they don't have photo ID or proof of residence, they may have lost it in the disaster. Still let them know that information. They can still show up to the recovery center, but let them know it may be a little bit longer of a process to get them the proper and appropriate assistance. Now I talked about the appointment tool. Let's take a look at that. This is a tool to schedule casework appointments with our clients. So we're going to go to this webpage, www.redcrossrecovery.org. You're going to pick a site, a date, a time, and fill out all required client information. Let's take a look. I'll open up a new tab here. We'll get used to having a lot of tabs open. I usually have about 5 or 6 tabs open when I'm working the call center. RedCrossRecovery.org. Here we go. So remember, people applying for Red Cross assistance are required to bring identification, showing address and proof of residence to be eligible for assistance. So we're going to click OK. Now, here you will see service centers that are available. If there are multiple disasters, you may see multiple disasters right at redcrossrecovery.org, and then you'll have to pick the appropriate disaster to find the right service centers to provide assistance. You'll have addresses or description of service centers here. They may have hours, they may not. They may have a phone number posted, they may not. So our team will make sure the description is accurate. Let's say a client is looking for an appointment at the Creekside YMCA. It'll refresh. Now, you'll see I can't select dates in the past, and we currently have it set so that you can only schedule clients 4 days out. That could change, but if you see a dark number here, it means you can click on it. Most clients are going to want to schedule appointments for the soonest time available. Remember how we had the Google Crisis Map open? It's always good to have Google Maps open to help direct clients to certain areas. The way that we can help a client find the closest area, see how I click on the label here, it takes me back. When you hover over, we have under the description section, you see where the Recovery Service Center is Northwest Houston, Creekside YMCA is the Woodlands, Community of Faith is Northwest Harris County, New Light Church is Greens Parkway. Those are general areas and neighborhoods. Most clients will know where those things are and which one might be the closest to them. So let's go back to the Creekside YMCA. For today, the 24th of April 2016, these are all of the appointments that are available. These appointments are done in the local time, so in this case for Texas, that's Central Time. And I could schedule an appointment as early as 2:30. That's 15 minutes from now. The client may not be able to get there that quickly, but let's just say I can do that. So you can schedule appointments every 15 minutes. Appointments are 1 hour long, and I could put in the client information. So John Smith, it's not your information, it's the client's. Then if John has an email, he could be john.smith@gmail.com. Mobile phone number. Address. So name, mobile phone number, and address are required. No need to put in comments here. When you click continue, I'll just put an address, 123 Main Street. I'll do Houston, Texas. Just put in a blank thing here, and I'll put in a dummy number. So, confirming the information, services. They're basically getting a 60-minute appointment at Creekside YMCA. There's the date and time. Here's the client's information. And you can default, actually, to getting a text message reminder. That's why we need the phone number for that client, and so we can call them if they don't show up. But this way, a client will receive a text message. It could be configurable, but the default is you will receive a text message prior to your appointment as a reminder. So for here, you could book the appointment. I'm not going to do that. If you screwed up and you need to go back, you can click on any one of these things here and go back. This is our booking system. We have a team on the ground that is looking at all of the booking appointments in one consolidated portal, but your job really is to do the booking for the client. And you could also tell a client you can book yourself for an appointment, or tell your friends or family or community members to book an appointment at redcrossrecovery.org. We may have Spanish callers or callers who speak another language. If so, we have this interpretation line available, 877-556-6594. When you receive a call from an English as a second language ESL caller, determine the language they speak and tell them you will get an interpreter and put them on hold. If you can't tell the language, that's okay. You would press 2 for other languages. Pretty easy for most of us to understand if the caller is speaking Spanish or not, even if you do not speak Spanish. You can call the number through Transera. Remember how we talked about adding that consult or that conference? You can consult and then 877-556-6594. You enter your PIN, which is 102279, and press pound. You'll press 1 for Spanish, 2 for other languages. You will then be asked your first name and last name to be connected with an interpreter. Then you will merge the calls. That's where you conference. First you were consulting, now you conference the two calls and proceed with your normal process. The interpreter, you could say, my name is Luke, I'm calling with the Red Cross, and I have someone on the line who does not speak English. The interpreter will introduce themselves, and anything you say at that point, the interpreter will interpret. The interpreter will also say back to you exactly what the caller said. Next steps. We've gone through a bit here, but the next steps are pretty simple and straightforward to get you working the call center. First, ensure that you're comfortable with what was presented in this video. Ensure that you're comfortable with the material presented in the PowerPoint training slide deck that was emailed to you. Next, email Chris McGrath, who's one of our call center coordinators, christopher.mcgrath2@redcross.org, letting him know that you have completed this online training and that you've completed the PowerPoint training. Chris will give you your Transera login and your SharePoint login. If you have a redcross.org email already, you can log into SharePoint immediately. When you log into Transera, remember that when you go available, you will be in the live environment. So when you go available, you may receive a client call. So I'd always have pen and paper down. In a worst case scenario, you've captured it. Be ready to go before going available. If you're confused, you can watch this training, go back to the Transera section, and see exactly how it's going to look. But remember, when a call comes in, you answer your phone just like you always do. Nothing different about it. So, you're going to get your Transera login and your SharePoint login from Chris. Step 5, Chris will connect you with your call center supervisor. Your supervisor will reach out to you and assign you shift times, as well as answering any last-minute questions that you may have. From that point on, you will be ready to take calls. What can you do after this deployment? We hope you have a really good, positive, strong experience and you're able to help a lot of our callers. We have some agents who will handle 30 calls in an hour. That is a lot of client help that you can provide. But we want you to send us your feedback, good, bad, ugly. Please email or call your supervisor after the deployment to discuss what worked well for you. And you can talk with them during the deployment, but especially after, we want you to take some time to think about it and how we can improve. We want to know what worked well, what didn't go well, what you would do differently, ideas for how we can improve our call center. We would love to hear from you. You could become a dispatcher. Disaster dispatch is something we do 24/7, 365. The only difference between being a DRO, disaster relief operation call agent, and a dispatcher is that dispatchers handle our disaster action team, DAT, fire calls. But they handle our DRO calls just like you, just like we all are doing today. National Dispatch operates 24/7, 365, so there is always a need for volunteers. What are the requirements for National Dispatch? It's even less than a DRO operation, but you've got to do it over a longer period of time. We require 1 2-hour shift each week for a period of 3 months. It doesn't have to be the same shift, but it's easier for you maybe, or easier on the scheduling front. If it is the same period of time, you can get used to it. Like a DRO call center, you are more than welcome to do more. If you're interested, send an email to nationaldispatch@redcross.org with your availability. We will get you trained and ready to go. Thank you so much for attending this training. Feel free to watch this video over and over. It gives you all the tips that you need and some of the intricate things. We also have the PowerPoint slide deck accompaniment that will be emailed to you as part of your disaster relief operation assignment. And remember that you have your supervisors to work with to guide you the entire way through this process. Thank you very much.